Alright guys, well today I'm going to try and show you how to rebuild a Ford Trac-Lok setup in an 8.8 rear end. Now just a little information right off the bat. This is a brand new unit. Basically I rebuilt this 8.8 to go into my Volvo 240, and instead of using the center section that I got from the rear when it came from the junkyard, I actually bought a new carrier with the Cobra carbon fiber clutch pack setups in it, instead of just buying just the clutch pack setup, because the clutch pack kit now is like over $100, and the whole brand new center section with new spiders and carrier and all that wasn't much more money, so I just opted to do that. So let me get set up here and we'll dig into this thing. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is orient the carrier so that you can get to the cross pin bolt, which is this right here. I believe it's like an 8mm 6-point. From what I hear, a lot of times, sorry, doing this on my cell phone camera and it's kind of weird doing it. Anyways, from what I hear, a lot of times these things either cross thread, like you round them off, or they actually break inside there. I think Lyle or something makes a tool to extract it. Seems like Lyle makes a lot of Ford fuck-up tools to fix Ford fuck-ups. So if you ever fuck something up on a Ford, just Google Lyle tool. I'm sure there's a tool for it. So anyways, we'll be pulling this pin out, which hasn't even been torqued, because they know I have to before I run the center section, they know I have to soak the clutch packs in friction modifier. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but it'll make it like super grippy. There won't be any slip or anything like that, and it kind of make it miserable, and the clutch packs will wear a lot quicker. So let me work on pulling this pin out, and I'll show you where we're at. Alright, so I loosened this up the rest of the way, and like I said, this is just a pin that goes through the carrier, and it captures this cross pin, which keeps all the goodies in place. So you might have to orient the carrier to clear this cap. Not a big deal, you just have to turn it. So we'll pull this cross pin bolt out. Again, this is what it looks like. Focus. Okay, it's not going to focus. Anyway, we'll set that aside. And then this little shaft here, which captures everything, you can see it just falls right out. Again, this is the shaft that holds everything together. We'll set this aside and we'll take a look at what else we're dealing with. Just give me a second, guys. Alright, so this is where we're at now. We have the cross pin bolt removed, we have the cross pin removed, and now we're left with the S-spring that pretty much holds all the spiders together and situates that cross pin in there. So I did a couple of these before, and I don't really remember how I removed that, but I'm pretty sure you just get like a pair of channel locks on it or whatever and just yank it out. I'll show you a trick when installing it again, but let me get a pair of channel locks on it in the middle there, and let me see if I can pull it out. Alright, as you can see, the S-spring is now removed. Basically all you have to do is grab it with a pair of channel locks and yank on it. It may get caught on the pinion gears on the side coming out, so you might have to use like a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, to pry one of the edges of the spring up while you're pulling at the same time not that big of a deal, but basically you're just using brute force to get it out. Ironically, you use brute force to get it right back in. So, like I said, we'll cover that in a few moments. But right now, I'm going to remove the gears here, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Alright, again, we're back up here in the carrier. As you can see, the S-spring's gone. Now we're left with the top and bottom spiders, and then the left and right pinions, as Ford calls them. So what you can do, and I'm doing this with one hand while I'm holding the camera, is spin it with your thumb or whatever, and these should rotate up to the point where you can grab it and probably pull it out like this. And keep in mind, there is a like washer on the bottom of this thing. Let me set it down so you guys can see it. There's like a little cup here. I guess it's kind of like a bearing almost, but that just goes on top of it before you rotate it back in. So we'll do the same thing with this other spider, and we'll roll it out, and I'll show you what we got once we get to that point. Alright guys, as you can see, I have both the top and bottom spiders out now. We'll go through our parts rundown, what we have removed so far. So we have the S-spring out, we have the cross pin and the cross pin bolt out, and then the top and bottom spiders. All you have to do to get those spiders out is, like I said, you can rotate the pinion gears, or you can actually just physically like rotate the spiders themselves, and they'll just roll out. But keep in mind that there are thin washers on the bottom. It's like a cupped bearing almost, to kind of that they ride on. So make sure that when those fall out, that you grab them and keep them with the actual spider gears. So next we have the housing here with just the carrier in it, and then the spiders have been removed, and we have the two pinion gears on each side, as you can see. And again, I do apologize for my shoddy camera work here. I'm laying on the garage floor using my cell phone. So we'll pull these guys out. You got to be aware that when you pull them out, you want to keep them, well, anyways, I want to keep them. It's probably really not that important, but you want to keep them with the gear that they came out with, and keep them in the order that they came with, and keep them in a separate container. What I have here are two little pans that I'll keep the left hand side pack set up in, and then the right hand side pack set up in. And this is also what I'm going to be soaking the friction plates in with the friction modifier. So let's go ahead and grab a pinion gear here, and the passenger side should be easy enough to pull out because there is no ring gear in the way. Again, I'm just doing this with one hand, which kind of makes it a pain in the balls. Alright, so I'm just going to drop this right in the pan, and then I'm going to take a look at that. But I also noticed I still have some plates and friction surfaces in there, so I'm going to go in with my hand and try to pull these out and stack them appropriately. So let me get this done and we'll check back in. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I pulled both clutch pack setups out, and surprisingly enough, it probably looks like I'm doing work that I don't have to do, because it looks like they're soaked in something already. So I'm just going to blob some friction modifier over both of them just to be sure, just to be on the safe side. But this is what it looks like. This is the driver side pinion gear, and it has carbon fiber clutch discs on them. So it has carbon fiber clutch discs and then steel plates, and they alternate in a certain pattern. Focus. And you want to be sure that when you pull this whole unit out, that you make sure you pull the very end piece, which is a shim that goes closest on the surface closest to the axle tube. Obviously, with the pinion bearing being in the center of the carrier. But again, this is what it looks like. You can see the splines there where your axles go in. But this is a shim here. And there's a carbon fiber clutch plate, disc, whatever you want to call it. And that's what actually locks. That's actually what gives you the posi track. Then it just alternates. So there are some people that actually will take clutch packs, clutch discs, and steels and add a couple extra in to tighten this whole program up or whatever. But this isn't a drag car. If it was, it would just have like a either welded diff or like a true locker or something in it. But I'm just gonna keep this the way it is from Ford and just soak them and then reinstall it. So let me show you how this whole program is gonna work, and then we'll get back to you. Alright guys, we're back. So what I did was I separated the steels and the friction discs and put them in these pans. And then what you gotta do is take this Trans-X Posi-Trac friction modifier, if you want to add it, which I do, and dump it in. You want to grab yourself your Coke razor, slash the top off that, and then just soak these things. Soak them for at least, I would say, 20 minutes. And I'm probably, like I said to you before, doing more than I have to, because these things were already wet, so they were probably already soaked from Ford, which, whatever. I'm just doing it so I know it's done and I don't have a really tight rear. Hee hee. So in 20 minutes we'll reassemble, and I'll show you how to do that.